Georgia in Hawaii, when Georgia O'Keeffe painted what she pleased. Georgia O'Keeffe was famous for painting exactly what she wanted, whether flowers or skulls. Who would ever dare to tell Georgia what to paint? The Hawaiian Pineapple Company tried. Lucky for them, Georgia fell in love with Hawaii. There, she painted the beloved green islands, vibrant flowers, feathered fish hooks, and the blue, blue sea. But did she paint what the Pineapple Company wanted most of all? There's Georgia O'Keeffe in her home in Arizona. And there's a younger portrait of Georgia O'Keeffe. This is one of her most famous paintings by Georgia O'Keeffe. Georgia in Hawaii, when Georgia painted what she pleased by Amy Noveski, illustrated by Yuyi Morales, one of my very favorite illustrators. To Jim, Maria, Karen, Gianna, and Lynn, the revisionaries, and to Sam, my editor, and forever one of us. After 5 days at sea, Georgia O'Keeffe arrived on a green island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. She was greeted with silver coins and leis of plumeria, wild ginger, and crownflower. Aloha, Georgia! It was February 1939, and the Hawaiian Pineapple Company had invited the famous artist to tour Hawaii. They wanted her to create 2 paintings to promote the delights of pineapple juice. Georgia visited the pineapple fields soon after her arrival on the island of Oahu. She found the sharp and silvery fruit quite strange and beautiful. She wanted to live nearby so she could study it up close, but the Pineapple Company would not let her. Only workers lived near the fields, they said. Georgia protested that she was a worker too and could live wherever she wanted. The company refused to allow it. Instead, they presented her with a pineapple. Georgia was disgusted. She did not want to paint the fruit now that it had been picked, and she would not let anyone tell her what to paint. There she is, Georgia O'Keeffe. Despite the pineapple trouble, Georgia started her tour. She flew to the island of Maui. There she stayed on an old sugar plantation at the edge of a rainforest and carried a paper umbrella when it rained. In a borrowed banana wagon, she drove the tightly winding mountain roads. Georgia went where she wanted, when she wanted. And Georgia painted. There she is painting. Georgia painted waterfalls and green-pleated mountains, lava hardened into fantastic shapes, and delicate feathered fish hooks that she collected like seashells. And Georgia painted the blue, blue sea. Next, she traveled by steamer to the big island of Hawaii, where she admired volcanoes that rose thousands of feet into the sky. She walked on black sand beaches reached only by boat and studied a rare piece of red coral. She met the local cattle ranchers, or paniolo. These Hawaiian cowboys showed her their gardens. And Georgia painted flowers, bird of paradise and philodendron, footlong helinicea and fragrant plumeria, torch ginger and silvercup, lotus and hibiscus. She painted a nana honoa, and she picked by the side of the road. She reminded Georgia of her favorite desert flower, the jimson weed. In Kauai, her last stop, Georgia visited with local artists. She stayed at a seaside home of a former Hawaiian queen near Koloa, a small mill town surrounded by fields of wild sugar cane. Soon, she was used to the scent of burning sugar in the air. Georgia was even starting to look like an island girl. Her skin was getting dark. But too soon Georgia's Hawaii tour was over. It was now April and time for her to return home. From the deck of an elegant ocean liner, Georgia watched the green islands grow smaller and smaller until it was just her and the sea and the sky. Georgia had created nearly 20 paintings of Hawaii, but she had not painted a pineapple. Instead, she gave the Hawaiian Pineapple Company paintings of heliconia flower and a papaya tree. They were not happy. They wanted a pineapple. Georgia was not happy either. She was not going to be told what to paint. But then Georgia thought about Hawaii and all that it had given her. She decided to give the company what they wanted. 36 hours later, a Hawaiian pineapple arrived at Georgia's penthouse in New York City, though Georgia did not need it. When she closed her eyes, she could still see Hawaii and its sharp and beautiful fruit. And Georgia painted a pineapple. Georgia O'Keeffe was an American artist famous for her paintings of flowers when the Hawaiian Pineapple Company, later known as Dole, approached her to create 2 paintings for them. At first, Georgia wasn't very excited to travel all the way to the middle of the Pacific Ocean, but once she began to study maps and pictures of Hawaii, she was eager to go. Georgia took a train from her home to New York City, across the country to San Francisco. There she climbed the gangplank of SS Lorraine and sailed to the city of Honolulu on the island of Oahu. The Hilo Tribune Herald, the local newspaper, announced her arrival with the noted woman artist arrives for a visit on March 29, 1939, while the Honolulu Advertiser mentioned O'Keeffe's Hunter's Green wool ensemble accented by crown flower lace and pink camellia blooms. Georgia loved Hawaii. She said that visiting there was one of the best things she ever did. Besides the pineapple incident, her one regret was that she didn't keep that rare piece of red coral she had found on the beach. A year after returning home, Georgia showed 20 paintings of Hawaii, including her paintings of the heliconia flower and the pineapple entitled Pineapple Bud, at the famous New York City gallery called An American Place, owned by her husband, Alfred Stieglitz. One reviewer from the New Yorker wrote, "Her bird of paradise, her hibiscus, and her fish hooks silhouetted against the blue Hawaiian water are exciting and beautiful." February 10, 1940. And Georgia wrote, "If my painting is what I have to give back to the world for what the world has given to me, these paintings are what I have to give for what 3 months in Hawaii gave to me." And there is her pineapple painting. And there is Georgia O'Keeffe. We'll be talking more about her in the next few lessons.